I was just sitting there and just thinking about doing sort of like looking at tools we have as spiritual beings to connect to source, connect to energy, connect to the universal laws. And I was just picked up my Angel of Atlantis cards. So I picked these up today. And usually I was just asking for guidance, and I just said I was shuffling them. And usually when I do a reading, I do 6 cards. So I'm shuffling it, and lo and behold, sort of like six. Well, I dropped cards, and when I looked at it, there was exactly six there. And to me, again, people sort of miss those little kind of things. I think with spirituality and sort of guidance, there's the very sort of like you're being guided. There's been sort of like there's communication, there's insights, and there's the flow of the universe coming through us. And sometimes we miss those little things. So because I was sitting there and I was just shuffling them, I'm going to do a couple of videos today. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to do another one that's more about source energy and about sort of um, what's happening and what's occurring now. So I'm just going to do a little reading with these first because obviously they've come out. So the first one is like I'm going to put them into like packs of three because this is what I feel like I need to do with it. So again, it's about feeling, it's about connecting, and it's about sort of like going with sort of like impressions and insights and your intuition. I'm doing this as well because these tools that we have as spiritual beings are also a way of connecting into that creation and manifestation, but are also a way of connecting into our source energy again. And this is what this time's about. It's about shifting away from, shifting into this source energy and starting to see the flow of the universe, the flow of our spirit, and how this connects to our soul. So, and we have these beings around us that there's these beings of light, which are the archangels, the angels, the ascended masters, which are definitely two of the energies that I very much sort of resonate with. We have guides as well that people sort of like connect into. So the first one is Gabriel, and it talks about grace. So we've got a swan flying, but it's white as well. But for me, grace is about awareness, but it's also about grace to me is about sort of like balance and harmony and union, but it's also about sort of our consciousness and also how we connect. But it's also about sort of like the internal sort of like frequency, and it's about sort of like creating and manifesting reality. It's about sort of creating it in a way that we start to manifest a reality, an internal reality or an internal frequency, which is your source energy, which is your soul, and you start to connect into that. And when you start to do that, you can start to manifest and create a reality of grace. And grace to me is about, you know, being in harmony, being in balance, being in connection, being in union. It's not about so that in that sense that we're starting to connect and sort of create a reality where we're not so um, distorted by the external world. And I think this is what this grace means to me. And obviously it's Archangel Gabriel who brings communication, who brings sort of insight and understanding. So it's calling upon Archangel Gabriel for that. The next one is liberation. Jophiel, and we got an eagle there, and we got the sun. So the sun to me is the source. The eagle is like moving towards that source. It's moving towards that. So again, it's a higher expansion. It's higher awareness. It's higher understanding. So that leads from the grace card. And as you see when you do a reading, things should flow. The universe flows, and the archangels work in perfect union. They're in perfect oneness, and this is what this time's about. So when I'm doing readings now, they've even shifted and changed because of my conscious level and how things have shifted and changed in me, and how I'm accessing that source energy and how I'm accessing my own frequency. It's very different to how I used to read. So I used to read on a very sort of like there'd be I've never like read on an individual sort of level, but it's more expansive now. It's more sort of like collective. It's more talking about a universal flow, a universal frequency, than a singular one. And this is part of that shift to source. So this is talking about source energy. It's talking about higher awareness, higher expansion, higher understanding. So as we open, we start to gain more sense of reality. We gain more sense and insight of situations and events, and how we can apply our spiritual nature, but also how we can access source to create and manifest and shift and change reality in a way that we're not actually we're not being sort of the 3D blueprint is not affecting our spiritual reality and our spiritual um, our spiritual reality it's not affecting it anymore, because we know that we're on a different frequency. We're past that in that way, that we're not connected to necessarily the physical world is not the true reality, it's the illusion. And as we start to move towards the higher dimensional realities, we start to realize that we're the creator of that reality, and this card's very much around it. So Hanyao is red, so it brings energy, but it also sort of like it's courage. But if you look at that card, those two planets together look like it's sort of like, to me, it looks like a figure of eight when they come together. If you can see, like, so yeah, it looks like a figure of eight on there. So that's a completion of something, a completion of cycles. So this talks about connecting into that kind of connecting into a completion of cycles. And the really, really beautiful thing about it is to start to think it, the next card talks about evolution. So again, it's talking about a new frequency, a new vibration, a new understanding, but it's an evolution. So all three of these are a completion of cycles. As we start to move through this this new grace, we start connecting into the source. We start looking at manifestation and creation. We start to realize that the awareness, the understanding, the insight, the knowledge of our soul and our spirit is there, and it is connected to the source. And through that, we're a creator. We can start to create our reality and start to create our and manifest our reality. And we can start to then start to connect it into a flow of the universe. And this creates and also allows us to dissolve cycles and start to move into a new cycle. But the new cycle is not just about us on an individual level, it's about us on a spiritual level as we start to move towards with the planet. But we also start to move into a new evolution of spirituality and manifestation on the planet. So all of us are starting to manifest, all of us are starting to create, and we're all starting to connect into source energy on a very different level. This is because of the expansion that's happening on the planet, and it's the expansion that's happening for each and every one of us as individual spiritual beings at the moment. So this is what the time's about. The time's about realizing and awakening to that we're a creator and we can manifest, transform, transmutate stuff. And again, that connects to Saint Germain, who talks about transmutation and transformation. Transmutation, again, is this going from one state of being to another, and we have that will to shift and change our reality. And once we awaken to that, we're not caged or bound by the external world, that external world of the illusion of the external world. We start to see that we're the creators of our own reality. It's not the world's happening to us. It's that we need to go into that inner world of inner frequency where we can create. And when we create, it's about connecting to that source energy again. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Look how beautiful that just links into the next one, which is this Sandalphon that talks about evolution. So this is the evolution of us as beings. So how I see this is, I see that bit in the bottom there is the earth, and then the outer layer is so the earth, and then you've got like all those other layers, all the other circles that connect. Well, that's the universal community, the universal planets. And also you can see around the earth is like this golden light and golden energy. Well, that's the source energy. It's the universal source and flow of the universe. And it's also telling us that we're aligning. We're starting to align again like we did thousands of years ago, when we were sort of like these highly evolved spiritual cultures, where you talk about Atlantis and you talk about Lemuria and you talk about the Mayans, all of those kind of and the Egyptians. These kind of cultures had a very, very strong spiritual roots and reality, because they were very much connected to the universe. The next one is Uriel, and it talks about abundance. Well, this is, to me, again, is about growth, expansion, but abundance is many things. So the growth and expansion and abundance is knowing that the flow of the universe is there, and as the source energy that we have, we are a creator. We have manifestation, and we have ability to really, really sort of like shift and change our reality, and it's awakening to that. And this is where the growth comes from. But the growth goes in two ways. It's not just for us, it's for the planet, and it's opening up the planet's frequency as well as our own individual frequency. All is one, nothing is separate. We must remember this. You know, the universal law of oneness is what flows throughout the whole universe. And once we start to realize that, then we start to connect into it. These are the archangels here. I'm not naming them the archangels as I'm doing the cards, because the archangels, although that you call upon the archangels, they're part of the infinite flow of the universe. They're all part of the one vibration of the source energy, and the angels know this. The angels know this. This is the reality they live in. So when I'm looking at these cards, people, when they do like angels, or they call out the angels, or they call upon the angels for one specific thing, but the way that I see the readings and source energy now, it's not about one thing. All is everything. So actually, the angels are part of that source energy, and as long as you're working for source energy and you're working in that way, the angels are in flow. They're in harmony with it. They know about the source, and they know about the energy. So in this sense, I'm not calling them out for that reason. I just thought I'd explain that because I don't feel like I need to at the moment. Again, Metatron, divine intelligence. Again, this is divine will, divine intelligence. This is the source energy. You have the infinite wisdom. You have the universe within you. And Metatron is telling us this. Metatron is bringing us this energy. And this is the source energy. It's awakening each and every one of us. It's awakening us to the light, the energy that each and every one of us is a creator being. And each and every one of us has source energy in us, and we can manifest and create. There is no boundaries, but the outside world is an illusion. You need to live in the not in the inner world, but live in the source frequency, the source code that's within each and every one. Again, when I talk about this, I don't really want to. You got the book there, which is symbolic of infinite wisdom, divine wisdom. But for me, again, it's not about inner and outer world, and we have to move away from this. Everything is source. Everything is creation. So there is a creative spark in each and every one of us, and each of us hold that signature, hold that vibration. And when we start to really, really awaken to that, that's when we start to really manifest and change reality. But again, there isn't a but. So we just need to move away from that, and this is what this time's about, and this is why I'm trying to do this reading. But the readings have shifted and changed because my consciousness has changed. But the next step is now being able to sort of like really open up to that multi-dimensional being, or that source energy, that infinite being that each and every one of us has, that spark in each and every one of us. And we need to open up to it, and we need to start to integrate it and start to use it to shift and change our reality, but not just for us individually, but for the whole planet. And this is part of the new shifting of the shift of consciousness, and each and every one of us plays a part. I do these videos, that's my part. You have your part. Everybody has a part, and like I said, each soul holds that frequency. And as each and every soul starts to awaken to that source energy, each and every soul then starts to open up to the new frequency. Each and every soul holds all frequencies. Well, it's in this when it's when I mean all frequencies, it holds the frequency for the age within each sort of in its source energy. And depending on our consciousness and how we actually expand and change, it's whether our souls hold sort of connect or activate that frequency. And this is what this time's about, is activating that frequency, so we start to shift and change beyond the 3D reality, but we start to become more spiritual beings again. I feel very much, as I start to connect into this, we're talking about walking on earth. Walking on earth is again, we are spiritual beings. We are like spirit in the spirit world. There is no difference between the spirit in the spirit world and the spirit that are here. We are all spirit. We all have source energy. So there is no difference. As we go and try and find and try and connect to our guides, and that we hold that same energy. We hold that same source energy here as well as they do in the spirit world. There is no separation. There's no difference, except that one's in a body and the other isn't. But the energy and the source energy, the essence is the same. So in that sense, this is the awakening, when we start to realize that there is no separation, and that's when we can start to really open up those channels, those universal channels, as we connect to these universal beings that are here to teach us. They're not, when I say teach, they're trying to get you to awaken to your source, your spirit. And in that sense, it's like the ascended masters bring it insight and wisdom and understanding, but they're activating what's already within, or not even within, which is already your essence, your core, your source energy. So in that sense, a master is teaching, but it's not even about teaching. It's about awakening vibrations, it's awakening frequencies. It's expanding our spiritual beings to align and become in harmony again. That's the whole true purpose of being a spiritual being, is to come into harmony again. And we can only do that when we start to awaken to that light, that essence, that creator, that source within each and every one of us. And then we start to manifest and create reality. And each and every one of us come down here for that reason. We've come down to activate that soul energy, that source energy, to create and manifest, to shift and change the planet, and bring it back into this kind of vibration and frequency where we're very much aligned, again, to the universal community, the universally. So like when they talk about the old and they talk about the Garden of Eden and stuff like that, well, the planet is symbolic of that. The planet is symbolic of being in the Garden of Eden, in a sense of there's this source energy, and we can create and manifest a reality on this planet. And this is what each and every one of our purposes is, to start individually, then to do that collectively. And this is where the shift is really happening at the moment. Is we're doing it, we're being guided and directed to do it more collectively than singly. For a long time it's been very much singly. As you look at the spiritual evolution on the planet in the last 20 or 30 years, you know, where people were talking about manifestation, they were talking about universal laws, they were talking about creation. They were talking about connecting spirit guides. They're talking about psychics, talking about mediums. But it's even shifted further than that now, because everyone is psychic, and everybody's a medium, but not to the level that they're connecting with the spirit world. But each and every one is a source energy. Each and every one is a spirit, and the true calling is in a sense of being a spiritual being, is awakening to that spirit, awakening to that source energy. And then once you start to realize that, you don't really necessarily need to connect to spirit guides or connect to loved ones in that way, because you are the same energy and you're not disconnected. You're always aligned, and that's what mediums and the psychics are trying to show you, that there's life after death. But when you awaken to the fact that you're a spirit and your source energy, and you have that source code, you know there's no life after death, because it's all one. Every reality is part of the same reality. All realities are part of source energy. There is no separation. There is no difference. And so you know that those energies are lights and energies that are living and vibrating and on a different frequency. But they're not. But that frequency isn't different, because when you start to connect in and know that you're spirit, you can vibrate on that frequency and align and connect, and then there's no separation. So there is, in that sense, you know, there is no death in that sense, but there is, obviously there's a physical aspect to that, you know, we grieve, we lose somebody that they were here physically, and now they're not here, but they're still here spiritually. So that's the shift as well, and that's a shift in consciousness. So it's very much around that. It's very much around sort of like us awakening to that. And the more I feel about this, the more that I feel as I connect into this, the more I feel like I'm being aligned. And the soul is a really important thing, because as I start to go into this more and more, each and every one of our souls are that source energy, and that's what really is. You know, when people were talking about souls in a physical form, I never really understood it. I never really understood like what you know, the soul. I understand it, but I can't comprehend it. I couldn't comprehend it as like a physical being. But now, when I start looking at source and I start looking at spirit, I start looking at, you know, the fact that the soul energy is that source energy that is you know, connected and aligns us and keeps us open to that multi-dimensional being, and that facet of that infinite being and that source energy. It makes complete sense. And that's why the soul comes, and it brings, because it's that reconnection. It allows us not to be separate. It allows us to be connected to our spiritual energy, our spiritual source, and the source energy and that creator energy. It allows us to manifest and create, and the soul allows us to open up as channels to receive that information. So yeah, and as I start to feel it, this beautiful golden light is just, you know, I feel like you know, the soul energy is this beautiful golden light, which is the source energy, and it just it just vibrates with pure sort of like warmth, pure sort of like harmony, love, peace, joy. The soul vibrates with all the all the reflections of the source energy. And that's why it's such a beautiful thing, because the soul is this infinite source energy that can reflect source in all its entirety, in that sense. And that's what the source, that's what the soul is, and it brings it in. And when we start to connect to that, we connect to a deeper sense of union, and a deeper sense of creation, and a deeper sense of manifestation. So yeah, that's the insight. I said I was going to do a couple of videos, but I don't think I am going to today. Now, when I've just sat there, I was going to talk about source energy, but I think the reading and like the sort of like the insight after the reading have very much connected in beautiful harmony, beautiful union today. So I'll only be doing one sort of like one video today, but there's so much into it. The more I start connecting it, I start wanting to talk about universal laws. I want to talk about vibration. I want to talk about frequency. I want to talk about the universal law of transmutation and transformation. I want to talk about all of those. The universal law of oneness, which is the blueprint of all things. There is no separation. There is no sort of like divide. There is no, everything. Separation itself is the biggest illusion, but it's the illusion that each and every one of us, when we come down, we have a few years where we feel separate. However, looking at the souls that are coming in now, and the souls that are being reincarnated on the planet, from a younger age, they're becoming more evolved. They're becoming more aligned with that source energy. They're bringing that source code, and as they start to come down, we see more and more of that. And this is again connecting to what you see as like star seeds, and is it like rainbow children, all those kind of things. There are sort of like energies, souls that are coming down, that are aligning and activating at an earlier age to bring bring the spiritual unity, bring it, awaken us to our soul and our universal sort of like source energy, but also the universal community. They're giving us insight that there's many more realities, there's many more dimensions, there's many more sort of like spiritual dimensions and spiritual beings, and we're all part of the same source energy, whatever reality or whatever dimension we incarnated from. The key is to really activate to that source energy. That is the biggest thing that we're going through at the moment as we shift and change. And the more we can do that, the more we can shift and align. I feel the source code and energy it's very much in my solar plexus. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my third eye. I definitely feel it in my sort of like my throat chakra at the moment, and I'm feeling it in my crown chakra. As I connect into it, you've got the many different chakras. I'm also want to talk about, is it the Earth Star, which grounds us to the planet. I feel like I've just been directed down to that, where we sort of like very much, because you've got 12 chakras, that there was a new system of 12 chakras. I'm sure there's more than that, but the main ones with the 12 chakras, and it gets very complicated when you start talking about minor and major chakras, because there's a lot of energy centers. How you can feel the energy sometimes is it opens up your spine, and as your spine opens up, it opens up like a golden channel that goes up through your crown chakra, and that starts to then align with the source energy, and it allows you, as your energy opens up. So these energy centers, those chakras again, are connected to the spine, but they're also connected to your source energy and your soul energy. All energy centers, all reality, all manifestation, all creation, all creator being, as a creator, all of it connects to the soul, because it's all source. So that's the insight for today. I'm going to sign off now, because obviously it's been quite a long video, and like I said, there could be a lot into it. Please check out my Facebook page. Thanks for listening. Please like or subscribe, follow. Comments would be brilliant. I'd love some sort of comments, because I'm sure there's many people out there that are having sort of like similar experiences, because we're all aligned. We're all part of this system as we're starting to activate. Have a great day.